welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Annetta Felix. With just hours left to Saturday's presidential and National Assembly elections, the federal government has ordered the closure of all land borders across the country. The closure will take effect from 12 p.m. on Friday to Sunday. Minister of Interior Abdulrahman Dambazao, who made the announcement, tasked security agencies to ensure compliance. Meanwhile, the Acting Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Adamu, has ordered the restriction of vehicular movement across the country from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. on Saturday. The police IG notes that the restriction would help security agencies maintain peace during the electoral process. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it has placed card readers and other sensitive materials gutted by fire in one of its offices in Anambra State. A spokesperson of the commission, Festus Okoye, also announced that ballot boxes and voting cubicles destroyed in the Kwanpan fire in Plateau State has also been replaced. 3 INEC offices in Abia, Plateau and Anambra State were gutted by fire less than 2 weeks to the elections. More than 4,000 card readers and other voting materials were destroyed in the Anambra fire, while over 14,000 PVCs were burnt in the southeastern state. INEC has, however, reaffirmed its readiness to continue elections in the affected states as planned. Now, INEC says it has received a letter from the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami. Now, in the letter, Malami is urging the electoral umpire to postpone the National Assembly, Governorship and State House of Assembly elections in Zamfara State. Spokesperson of the Commission, Festus Okoye, who confirmed this, says INEC is studying the letter and will issue a response as soon as possible. Malami in the letter cited the decision of the Court of Appeal, which ordered that the All Progressives Congress should be allowed to field candidates in Zamfara State. It's less than 24 hours to the presidential poll, and campaign by political parties has come to an end. Now, this is in compliance with the Electoral Act of 2010 as amended. Candidates of the APC, incumbent President Muhammadu Buhari ended his campaign in his hometown of Katsina, where he urged Kingsmen to turn out en masse to support his re-election bid. On the other hand, major opposition candidate Atiku Abubakar ended his campaign in Yola Adamawa, which is his hometown. Now, after bringing their campaign to a halt, both candidates in different broadcast messages called for peace and calm during the poll. They also urged Nigerians to come out in their number and vote their preferred candidates. Our residents of Abuja are not just willing to exercise their vote on Saturday, but are also desperate to take part in the process. Some Nigerians who spoke to TV360 say they are ready to be fully involved in the presidential election.
My principal focus is not just casting the vote. I'm concerned about the outcomes. I'm concerned about restructuring the nation. I'm concerned about development. It's not just let the best man win, but our focus in Nigeria should be what is the next step, what is the next level, what are we to expect from the new government. We've seen what the previous government has done, so what are we to expect from the new government? So my advice is whosoever is going to win should be able to tackle these issues, tackle the economy, tackle the education, tackle security. There are a lot of things we should talk about. So let the best man win anyway.
I'm ready. I'm very, very ready. And what I will advise people is that do not go vote based on what people told you. Follow your heart. And also, when you are going, vote for the person that you know that can deliver, so that anything happens, you cannot have any reason to blame. Because you are the person that elect person there.
Are you prepared?
I'm prepared. You can see my voter's card. I'm not just prepared with much.
I'm very prepared, fully prepared for the coming election. I am very prepared. I've got all my items ready. My umbrella is there. My water bottle is there. My food is there, everything is there, and my PVC is there. I will stay, I will vote, I will wait for the count, and I will make sure my vote counts.
I'm well prepared for the election tomorrow. So I have my PVC, then when the time brings, then I have to go there and vote for my choice. Very important because we are a civilian regime now, so that when the time is for voting, we have to go there and go and vote for anybody when we want to do better for us.
Tomorrow election is very important to me because it is my father's land and it is my right.
I'm very ready to vote. Whatever it will cost me, I must vote.
The Code of Conduct Tribunal CCT has adjourned the trial of Walter Onuen till March 11, 2019. This follows the appearance of the former Chief Justice in court on Friday. Onuen, who pleaded not guilty to the charges against him, was granted bail on self-recognition. He is standing trial of 6 charges of non-declaration of assets. And Tunji Oye has the rest of that story.
After weeks of motion for and against, affidavit and counter-affidavit, suspended Chief Justice of Nigeria Walter Onoge appeared at the Code of Conduct Tribunal on Friday. Onoge, who chose to stand in the dock despite being asked to sit down by the tribunal chairman, pleaded not guilty to the offenses read to him. Counsel to Onoge, Chris Uche, SAN, moved for his bail, an application that was granted on self-recognition. The matter was adjourned till March 11, 2019.
Today, the Honorable Chief Justice of Nigeria appeared here before the tribunal voluntarily. And for us, we must begin by saying that today is indeed a very sad day for the judiciary, a very sad day for democracy, a very sad day for Nigeria. The struggle you can see the bar carrying on here is nothing but struggle for the maintenance of the independence of the judiciary. It is a struggle for the maintenance of the rule of law. It is a struggle for the separation of powers. Today, His Lordship had to suffer the indignity of coming before this tribunal to take his plea. But we are very, very happy this has happened because the world will eventually know the truth and know that there is more behind this prosecution. Today, plea has been taken, arraignment has taken place, and the matter has been adjourned to 11th day of March 2019 for all the other motions we have challenging the jurisdiction of this tribunal and challenging the competence of the chairman to continue with this trial.
The plea of the defendant has been taken and the matter has been adjourned for hearing of applications. That's all.
Walter Samuel Nkanu Onoge, GC Hohen, born December 22, 1950, educated at the University of Ghana and became the Chief Justice of Nigeria on March 6, 2017. He will go down in history as the first head of Nigerian judiciary to be docked on allegations of corruption. From Abuja, Tunji Oye, TV360 News.
No fewer than 160 Nigerians stranded in Libya have been welcomed back into the country. They arrived at the cargo wing of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Ikeja, Lagos. The new batch comprised of 147 adults, 3 children and 10 infants. On arrival, they were received by officials of the International Organization for Migration, IOM, National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, and other government agencies. Oyin Adegale has the details.
It is the second arrival in 2019. 86 males, 74 females, including 10 infants, disembark from the plane with all kinds of emotions, some showing visible signs of happiness for setting their feet on Nigerian soil again. Ovie is one person who is unashamed to tell the world what he's been through in Libya. He even brings back something to show for his pain.
If I tell una say me as I come back, so hey, I won't come go the reason, hey, now so Libya, no my mate enter, no enter, now lie. Me I know they go Europe again. I know they go. And I'm happy that I'm back in Nigeria, my country. This one I be other bread, 2 to 1. 2 to 1, I would chop every 2 days with salt water. Libya not get water, they not get things like that. Salt water. Me and you now will share, it must be equal because I not go cheat you, you not go cheat me. I would eat for inside tranquil. So I beg my people, I passed through here. And God now bring me back to Nigeria. It was not my power, you know.
Apart from those rescued from detention camps, this batch of returnees also comprise of those who voluntarily decided to return home from different towns and cities across Tripoli.
Arabu no do me bad though. They never catch me one day. They never flog me because na Nigeria woman I flog me and they beat me every day. Only once in a day now we dey eat for the connection house. Only once in a day now we dey eat. If you no go day break, no food for you. And if you can't go, the man complain say you no do well, na problem for the person.
My experience at Libya was very bad because the way they maltreat we Nigerians, they are even black most so they maltreat us as if we are nothing to them. Sometimes we do go to work, they refuse to give us money. Mostly our guys, they do a lot of nonsense things to get money.
The territorial coordinator of NEMA in Lagos, who received this group, admonishes aspiring immigrants to follow due protocol when processing their travel documents to avoid being exposed to inhumane conditions.
Given the kind of experiences we have listened to from these returnees, it is very dangerous to cross the inhospitable Sahara Desert, travel to North Africa in the quest of going into Europe and getting stranded in North Africa. So it's very good for anybody, any prospective migrants, to follow the right channels through which you can migrate to any country across the world.
The federal government partnered with EU in 2017 to begin the 3-year return intervention program. Since then, over 9,000 Nigerians have been brought back to the country from Libya. However, it is uncertain if all the Nigerians still stranded in the North African countries will be brought back before 2020, when the intervention program will come to an end. And this is because many of the Nigerians there are stuck and held hostage in informal camps or detention centers which are inaccessible to officials. Oyin Adekunle, TV360, Nigeria.
Thanks for that, Adekunle. And moving on, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, has suspended his call that Igbos boycott the general elections. Kanu had called for a boycott of the elections in the southeast, saying it can only be suspended if the government agrees to sign the documents given to them. However, on his official Twitter handle, the IPOB leader announced that preconditions and terms have been met. Hence, the boycott plans has been suspended. The IPOB leader, who has been on self-imposed exile, is facing charges of treasonable felony at the Federal High Court in Abuja. Now, with just 5 women listed on the ballot for the presidential election, the European Center for Electoral Support is calling for more women and youth inclusion in Nigeria's politics. The group, while admitting that there is an increase in women and youth participation in the past 4 years, says it's working with INEC to also ensure an increase in the number of female political office holders.
The total number of Nigeria's voting population has increased by over 20% when compared to the 2015 voter statistics. Now, with well over 84 million registered voters, Nigeria has the highest voting population in Africa. The European Center for Electoral Support, which is partnered with Nigeria's electoral umpire INEC ahead of the February 16 and March 2nd elections, say increased women and youth participation in politics is largely responsible for this growth.
We have a little bit more women comparing to 2015 who registered, and we hope that more also has collected the PVC. We've been doing sensitization on radio, on different on jingles. We had even a women radio who give few airtime for women to talk about participation of women, as well as for the candidates to do their campaign.
In 2015, just 1 woman contested the presidential election, but this year, 5 women are listed on the ballot for the presidential polls. But it hasn't been a smooth ride for most of these women.
Yes, challenges there's still few. We know that cultural barriers are still there. We know that the quota in political parties, religious barriers, funding, but still women organizations are working on it, and you know it's not really the role of INEC.
One of the main focus of the European Center for Electoral Support is increased women and youth participation in politics, which is being driven through media messages and documentaries. The group believes this will also influence the number of women leaders across the country.
With INEC, we've done a lot. We are even, we did produce a documentary talking about the history of women in politics before 2015 and now. We are planning after the election to have also a documentary talking about lessons learned to see where was the issues and the challenges so that we can improve the participation of women.
In the past 4 years, campaigns for increased women and youth inclusion in politics have taken center stage with some degree of progress made. Evidence is a passage of the Not Too Young to Run bill, which cuts down the required age for individuals vying for public offices. Fidalia Aguncha, TV360, Nigeria.
Citizens under the ages of the Niger Delta Avengers have threatened to halt crude oil flow and cripple the economy if their preferred candidate does not emerge winner of the presidential election. The group, which supports the candidate of the PDP, Atiku Abubakar, was behind a wave of oil production disruption that helped to push the country into its first recession in 25 years. In 2016, the nation saw a resurgence of militant attacks on oil and gas facilities in the Niger Delta, causing oil production to plummet to near a 30-year low of around 1.6 million barrels per day in August that year. Now, no fewer than 257 million people suffer from chronic malnutrition in sub-Saharan Africa. This is according to a joint report from the United Nations and the Food and Agricultural Organization, FAO. The report released on Friday says hunger in Africa is on the rise after many years of decline, threatening the continent's hunger eradication efforts. It added that in 2017, no fewer than 20% of the African population was undernourished. The report notes that food insecurity has worsened in countries affected by conflict, often exacerbated by drought or floods. Now, Nigeria is one of many African countries plagued by insurgency, which has left thousands killed and millions displaced. After this break, we'll return with business news. Do stay with us.
It's another important time in our country's history,
when we head to the polls to decide our future.
You and I have the power to choose our leaders, but we can only do this when we exercise our right to vote. Every single vote matters, and I mean yours.
Then say your power.
Say no to vote buying. Say no to electoral violence. This message was brought to you by
TV360 Nigeria.
Welcome back, and we're now joined by Fidalia Aguncha for business news. Hello, Fidalia.
Hi, Aneta.
So we hear that the MBS has released a report on Nigeria's inflation figures. Please tell us more about that.
Well, you're right. The Bureau of Statistics says Nigeria's urban inflation rate increased by 11.66% year-on-year in January 2019 from 11.73% recorded in December 2018. In its latest report released on Friday, the Bureau said rural inflation rate increased by 11.11% in January 2019 from 11.18% in December 2018. The report also says that Nigeria's consumer price index dropped to 11.37% in January 2019 and that the 11.37% inflation rate for January is 0.07 percentage points lower than the 11.44% which the country recorded in December. It also adds that on a month-on-month basis, the index increased by 0.74% in January 2019, the same rate as was recorded in December 2018. Well, the Naira appreciated to 361.85 per dollar in the investors and exporters window due to an 80% increase in the volume of dollars traded. Naira loses marginally against dollar at the I&E window data from FMDQ shows that the indicative exchange rate for the window dropped to 361.85 per dollar from the 362.03 per dollar on Wednesday, translating to 18 kobo appreciation of the naira. The volume of dollars traded on the window rose by 58% to 355.90 million from 224.84 million seen on Wednesday. And Nigeria's gross domestic product GDP is maintaining a steady rise. The government had predicted that the GDP would grow to 2% in 2018, but the actual growth capped at 1.92%. TV360's Adeshewa Odushoga has been finding out the factors responsible for this growth. Take a listen.
The diversification of the Nigeria's economy seems to be having a positive impact on the gross domestic product. This is evident in the agricultural sector as it survives amid security challenges, giving rise to food insecurity across the country. Financial analyst Gabriel Idahosa speaks on how diversification has affected the country's economy positively.
Essentially, we are looking at agriculture. Agriculture survived the threats from security. A couple of states that were not producing during the height of the issues in the Northeast started producing. So agriculture picked up generally in the Northeast. Also in the Niger Delta, the amount of agriculture that happens there also picked up because there was also peace in the Niger Delta. So generally you saw agriculture picked up. The NG also saw oil and gas picking up a bit.
It's the season of elections and the government is likely to experience a handing over. But the present government had projected a 3.01% increase for the 2019 gross domestic product. Idahosa gives hint on how the incoming government will achieve this projection.
Essentially, most of what we need to do at all levels, both the local government, the state government, the federal, most of them have to do with opening up space for private sector to thrive. There are things like access to land, access to title documents that takes quite long. There are things like permits, getting a permit to build a factory. So those basic ease of business things that needs to be done. If the government really drives the current effort to open them up so that businesses spend less money and less time getting the permits and licenses they need, you will find the economy growing. It's not so much the government investing its own money. It's a matter of opening up the space.
The international oil price has been experiencing a long and steady decline. The big question is how the country will survive amidst this crisis.
The way the market is working, there is some hope that with the effort of OPEC to hold the prices at a certain level, and of course the fact that Europe and the American economy are not growing very fast to create additional demand. So the demand pressure on the market is not very high. So even with the sanctions on Iraq and Iran, particularly on Iran and Turkey and some other countries by the United States, the price has remained fairly stable because the supply-demand situation has been moderated by Saudi Arabia and Russia, who are the major exporters, who are trying to cut price when cut production when the price seems to be going too low. They have managed to cut production to ensure the price remains in that band of 60 plus or minus a few percentage. So it is likely that that price will be sustained this year, and Nigeria will just about get the amount of foreign currency earnings that it's currently getting.
The continuous decline of the global oil prices poses a major risk to the federal government economic projections for 2019. This may cause the federal government to begin a review for a new oil price benchmark for the 2019 budget. Adeshewa Odushoga, TV360, Nigeria.
Well, let's now look at activities on the stock market. Don't go away. Well, the Nigeria Stock Exchange is closing the week on a bullish note, appreciating by 0.81%. Since the start of trading this week, the all-share index has appreciated by 934 points, which translates to a boost of 113 billion naira in the market value, and that's why we can see the all-share index standing at 32,715 basis points and the market capitalization at 12.200 trillion naira. Now, sectorally, the oil and gas index is the biggest gainer today, appreciating by more than 4 points. Largely responsible for this growth is Seplat, leading the pack of gainers. As we can see right here, it's appreciating by about 39 naira. The value of Seplat since the start of trading this week has risen by 54 naira, and the growth can be hinged on the steady rise in global oil prices as the US and China continue to talk on resolving trade conflict. It was also a good day for Presco, Nigeria Brewers, and Dangote Cement. Moving on to the losers chart, let's see them. We can tell it's now on the Nestle, Unilever, MRS, and Cement Company of Northern Nigeria leads the pack of losers as the number of sell-offs outweighed buys. We can see that Nestle was leading the pack of gainers for 2 consecutive days, Wednesday and Thursday, but it was unable to keep up that trend as it has now moved down to the losers chart. In summary, we can see that the number of deals exchanged in the market today stands at 6,177, and the value of shares traded today came in at 6.486 billion naira. On the global scale, let's see, Nikkei is the only loser. FTSE and Dow are climbing, and FTSE is climbing despite Parliament rejecting Theresa May's Brexit plan, and Dow Jones is still climbing despite US President Donald Trump saying he just might declare an emergency over the US-Mexico border. Well, that's it in business. It's back to Annetta.
Thank you for that update, Fidelia. Good to see that both the FTSE and the Dow Jones are slightly making gains in the global market.
Yes.
So we'll take a break here and we'll bring you updates on President Trump and the border wall controversy. Do stay with us.
When last you vote?
Oh yeah. When last you vote for the person where you get for mind say go sabi work?
Not be person will find you something, no?
Okay now, you register to vote?
So you don't collect your PVC?
I beg. Make we not be like Esau, we selling birthright though.
Make we shine our eyes this election period. Make we stamp only people where we know say then get better mind for Nigeria. This message.
TV360 Nigeria.
You're welcome back. United States President Donald Trump has defended his executive action to access $6.6 billion in Pentagon and Treasury Department funds for his southern border barrier. He accused Democrats of opposing it as part of a big con and a lie. Trump said Speaker Nancy Pelosi and Senate Minority Leader Charles E. Schumer know border walls work, but are resisting his proposal purely for political reasons. The president revealed his likely legal strategy in defending his move in court, saying he acted for invasion purposes. Turning now to sports, Nigeria's male basketball team, the Tigers, are set to return to camp on Tuesday, February 18, in Abidjan, Côte d'Ivoire, as they begin preparations for the next phase of the 2019 FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Now, although the Tigers have already qualified for the championship, the former African champions will compete in the next phase as mere formality and possibly maintain their 9-game unbeaten run. Nigeria became the first country to book a ticket to China 2019 with a 81-61 win over Senegal on September 16th. The Tigers will now hope to finish the qualifiers with their unbeaten run intact when they face their host, Côte d'Ivoire, on February 22nd, Central African Republic on the 23rd, and settle scores with Senegal on the 24th. Our South American countries, Argentina, Chile, Paraguay, and Uruguay, are ready to submit a joint bid to host the 2030 World Cup. Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay had earlier submitted a joint bid to host the centenary edition of football's most prestigious tournament while Chile is pushing to participate in the joint candidacy. The South American bid potentially faces competition from Ireland and Britain, Morocco, and another by an Eastern European confederation of Greece, Serbia, Bulgaria, and Romania. Uruguay hosted and won the inaugural World Cup in 1930, while Chile was a venue in 1962. And Argentina emulated Uruguay by lifting the trophy on home soil in 1978. And that's the latest around the world at this time. Thanks for watching News Now on TV360 Nigeria. Do log on to our website at www.tv360nigeria.com for more. Bye for now.